Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SourcePaperPerspective.net Let's Play Apple Tarot competition. We are now deep into the home stretch. This is week number 6, and our word this time around is irresistible. Now, irresistible is a word that has quite a few different meanings and connotations. It can be something that's overpowering, something that's overwhelming, something that's very compelling, or even something that's extremely addictive. And I firmly believe that all these qualities and more are embodied in the game Downwell, which we're playing right now. Now, I'm playing this using Steam, but it also came out for iOS, and it's been developed for the PS Vita, the PlayStation 4, and Android phones to be released sometime in 2016. So what exactly makes Downwell the embodiment of the word irresistible, in my opinion, then? Well, for one thing, the gameplay. The gameplay has you fighting the forces of gravity. And if physics has taught me anything, is that this is impossible. There's a reason why there is a phrase, what goes up must come down. In this case, it's what starts up must come down and must finish down. You're playing as this guy, as you can see here on the screen right here, who loses his dog down a well one day, so he decides to strap on his gumboots, as you do, and go in after the dog and try and rescue him. Standing in his way are numerous monsters, traps and pitfalls, and you have to negotiate around them using a very simple 3-button setup: left, right and the spacebar. The spacebar fires the gumboots, and as you can see on the right hand corner of the screen here, you have a limited amount of ammo. And once you run out of ammo, you have to either land on the ground to replenish it, or you can bounce on a monster in order to replenish it as well. And this is the key to success in Downwell, because as you'll notice there, we actually just got some gems for doing what's called a combo. You are encouraged to try and kill as many enemies as you can while you're in the air without touching the ground. And once you've done this, once you land on the ground, you will be rewarded depending on how many enemies you manage to kill. Also, your combo meter stays between floors. This game is divided into 4 areas, plus a final boss fight at the end. And each major area is split into 3 floors. Every time you complete a floor, as you just saw, you get the chance to choose an upgrade. This, I'm afraid, is another one of those damn roguelike games, which means that chances are, when you first get this, you're going to die. A lot. And I did. I got this game back on Christmas Day, in fact, of last year, after Gesh86 very kindly gifted it to me. Thanks, buddy. It sure was appreciated. And I've been playing it ever since. I've clocked up nearly a full day's worth of play on this game, but of course that wasn't all in one session because that would be absolutely ridiculous. I never had time to eat, sleep or do anything else important. So instead, I've just been slowly playing it. This is one of those games that you can pick up and play for about 20 minutes, and then put it down again. Also, let's annoy the shopkeeper by jumping over his head and onto his merchandise, which I didn't actually know you could do until until I started recording this for the competition. So that's kind of amusing to me. Let's talk a bit about those caves then. You'll notice that time completely stops whenever you go in these flashing force field caves. And even the music stops, which is a nice touch, although it's a little bit annoying, I appreciate, for an LP video, because you might be getting into the music and then suddenly it stops dead because you've entered the zone where time is completely stopped. Also going to select the youth upgrade here, because not only does that give you a bit of health back, it also gives you more upgrades to choose from. It goes up from 3, which is the default, to 4 when you select that youth upgrade. I always try and get that whenever it pops up. So yes, as I say, combos are very, very important. So are picking up these upgrades that you can just get in the caves. There are 3 types of caves, and you've seen them all already. There are the ones that just have gems, like a pile of gems. You shoot the gems with your gumboots, like here, for example. That was good timing on my part. And then you can get all the gems as they fly out. Then you've got the shops, which is what you're saving up the gems for, to buy various items like health refills. You can also get extra charge for your gumboots, because that's another very important part of progressing and succeeding in Downwell. You only start off with 8 charge on your gumboots to begin with, and you're going to need more than that if you really want to succeed, because trust me, the later areas of this game get absolutely ridiculous. You truly get overwhelmed and overpowered by an absolute ravenous horde of various different enemies. And the upgrade we're selecting this time is the Knife and Fork. Another thing I would really recommend for players of this game, because this allows you to eat your enemies and regain some health after you've eaten about 6 or 7 of them. Some enemies, you'll notice, leave behind sprites after they die, some do not. The ones that leave sprites behind after they die, you can actually eat by running over their corpse, and you'll hear a sort of nom 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 sound effect. Do this enough times, and you'll gain some health back. Now, we're actually at full health right now, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't collect more health. Because this is a really neat system where if you're at full health, and you collect more health up, rather than doing nothing as it happens in some games, you'll actually fill up the white bar just underneath your health meter on the left of the screen here. Fill that up 4 times and you'll actually get more health, like maximum health, 1 more bar on your maximum health. I'm not doing a great job of explaining it right now, but it's very, very useful. Because as I say, you know, roguelike, you're going to die, etc, etc. Perhaps not as much as Spelunky, because good lord, you die an awful lot in Spelunky. And again, with it being a roguelike, this is one of those games where you can practice and get better. And it's expected of you to do that, actually. Even the achievements for the game expect you to do that. And this is something I raved about when I appeared on the Sockscast, Pulley's gaming podcast, back in January of this year. I raved about this game non-stop. I said I absolutely loved it, and I still do, by the way. I stand by that statement. Because of the way it does roguelikes right. I'm not going to go into the whole rant about, is it a roguelike, is it not a roguelike? We already did that for the Spelunky video, I'm not going to repeat myself. Because if you die in this game, nearly always it's your own fault. It's not like in, say, Spelunky, where sometimes I've had deaths that they were not my fault. Sometimes I had deaths in Spelunky that were my fault and could quite frankly have qualified for the Darwin Awards. But here I feel that every time you die, it's entirely your own fault. Okay, there's a couple of times where maybe it isn't because there's a slight bit of dodgy collision detection, but not much, it has to be said. Not much at all. And it teaches you to go through the game what to do, and I also think the difficulty curve is very, very good indeed. Too often in games like this fail because they don't have a fair or reasonable difficulty curve. This one absolutely does. Also, this level teaches you that sometimes there are enemies that you should not shoot, like those white skull things. If you shoot them with anything other than the shotgun or the laser, they will turn red, like here, and they will start chasing you around the level. You can then land on them to kill them, but it does do damage. And you've got to really look after your health because you only have a finite amount of it available, especially if you can't get any of the maximum health upgrades. Another thing that makes this game so compelling to me is that you have a variety of different ways in which you can play it. When you first get the game out of the box, you only have the basic playstyle, which we're using right here just for the sake of simplicity. But as you go through the game, and yes, as you die, you will get points and you will eventually level up. I suppose you call it experience rather than points. You'll eventually level up and you'll unlock things such as new colour palettes. So it's just white and red. Again, really simplistic game. Even the art style is very simplistic, but it works, and you'd expect that for a game that is also on iOS. And there's definitely a trend these days developing where we're moving away from the big blockbuster AAA, I hate using that term, but the big blockbuster AAA titles, and I certainly think we're seeing a mini revolution in the indie scene, where games such as Downwell and games such as Spelunky, which I'm not really all that to write home about graphically wise in terms of how many graphics are on the screen and, you know, huge explosions and everything like that, although there's a fair amount of action taking place right now, it has to be said. I think we're pushing back from that as consumers, and we're moving more towards games that have really unique and, yes, nice art styles, such as this game, such as the recently released Hyperlight Drifter. And I don't think that could have happened, say, 10-15 years ago. I think games like this would have been swallowed up by the masses. And I think it's a very good thing for the industry and for gamers in general that that sort of shift is happening. It doesn't mean that AAA games are necessarily entirely all bad. Not at all. It absolutely depends on the game. But it doesn't mean that games like this should be dismissed just because they look very simplistic. In fact, I more like to play something if it is simplistic at the moment, just because I haven't got the time to pump into big 20-hour at a time titles, such as, you know, Nintendo's Zelda games, or Fallout 4, which just won Game of the Year at the BAFTAs. Are you kidding me, by the way? Not this is political in any way, shape or form, he said, lying through his teeth. And another thing I had to mention about this game is the music. The music is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that only 2 people worked in this game is absolutely remarkable for how good it is. And also the price should be mentioned. This game is $2. And I don't mean it's on sale for $2. Its natural starting price is $2 on Steam. That is an absolute steal when you consider how much content is in this game. Because I was starting to talk about the different playstyles, and actually I stopped. You've got as well as unlocking palettes, you can unlock playstyles. So you've got normal playstyle, then you've got what's called the arm spin playstyle, where every cave is going to contain a module, which will either give you more health and change your weapon, or give you more charge and change your weapon. But shops appear very infrequently, unless you get the upgrade for completing the floor that always makes shops appear at the start of the level and gives them 10% discount. You've got the boulder style, which gives you 2 more HP to give you 6 instead of 4, but as a balance, you can only get 2 upgrades per floor, and then if you get youth, it's 3 upgrades per floor, as opposed to the usual 3 going up to 4. There is the floaty style, the levitate style, which means that your jumps, whenever you jump on an enemy, and whenever you jump off the ground, you will get a lot more air, and this is very useful for getting huge combos, but it's also kind of something difficult to wrap your head around. It's kind of difficult to wrap your head around because you're so used to, at this point, to playing the game in the normal style, that something new coming on like that kind of messes with your head. And the final style is the handstand style, which looks really cool. You don't have to get any upgrades at all, but to make it a little bit better, a little bit fairer, I should say, the shops actually are cheaper. The items that are selling in the shops are much cheaper. And again, this is just really nicely balanced gameplay. Oh yes, and now we're in Limbo, by the way. And Limbo is absolutely goddamn nuts, because it just takes out the floor entirely, and apart from the shops and the caves that you encounter, and the little bits of debris you can bounce on, you are entirely in freefall from this point onwards. It's crazy, and it's exactly what you expect of a penultimate level of the game. You also get one fun reward for beating the game the first time. You unlock something called Hard Mode. Now, I wanted to play this game on hard mode for you to kind of show that I'm actually kind of good at it. And I hope that, even not playing this on hard mode, I'm still showing that off in this video. But I couldn't do it in all good conscience, because hard mode, unfortunately, is not very good. It adds various different hazards depending on what floor of the well you're on. So, for the first 3 floors, the caves, it spawns enemies that chase after you at the top of the screen. Then in the catacombs, the spikes you see are jutting out all the time. They don't just jut out as you saw in the video where you're standing on them. You have a split second to jump off them before they hurt you. No, they're jutting out on a pattern all the time. And I'd love to tell you what's in Aquifer and Limbo in hard mode, but I can't because, as of the time of recording this, I haven't actually reached Limbo, or Aquifer indeed, in hard mode. It may not be worth it, but I'm one of those players that very foolishly wants to get all the achievements on Steam, so one day I think I'm going to have to do it. I have to praise the achievements on this game because they're a mixture, and this is something else I talked about on the Sotscast, by the way, but they're a mixture of progress achievements, like, get to this certain level, beat the game, etc., etc., and achievements you have to go out of your way to do, what I would call skill-based achievements. And the skill-based achievements are really quite clever. You get an achievement for going through a floor without touching the ground once. That's actually really difficult. You get an achievement for going through a floor without killing a single enemy. That's not so difficult as long as you can train your brain to stop doing what you're normally doing and instead of bouncing on top of the enemy's heads, avoid them like the plague. You get an achievement for getting a certain level of combo, which in Limbo, by the way, is really easy because there's no floor to mess you up, or hardly any floor to mess you up. And this is how I eventually got the 100 kills achievement, 100 consecutive kills combo achievement, just by going to Limbo and not using the floor once, and taking advantage of the fact that your combo does not reset as you progress from floor to floor, and that's how I got that achievement. One other thing I think needs to be mentioned about this game is the fact that 2 people worked on it, which again, given that this is such a good game in my opinion, it's remarkable that only 2 people worked on it, and kind of sticks a spoke in the wheel of the people that say, oh, games have got to have huge production teams to be huge, epic productions. I've said the word production twice there, but they've got to have huge budgets and huge amounts of people working on them to be worth your time. And I think this takes that notion and knocks it into a cocked hat, and completely proves it false. Also, I picked up the curry in that shop there, which gave me some more max HP, which I'm going to need because the boss is coming up after this floor. And, hoo boy, the boss of this game is absolutely crazy, and you'll see him in just a few short seconds. But yes, 2 people worked on this game. Moppin is the name of the developer, but that's actually just a pseudonym of a man named Ojiro Fumoto, and the composer for this game, and I've praised the music, or if I haven't praised the music I'm going to, I think the music is fantastic. Each track fits the various different floors really, really well. For example, here in Limbo, it's a very creepy, almost ambient noise for the soundtrack, which really, really fits the setting. That man's name, and I'm going to butcher this unfortunately, is Eric Serka, and he is perhaps most known, other than his work on Downwell of course, for a game called Ridiculous Fishing, which is a mobile title and was absolutely heavily praised by the critics, just as Downwell is being heavily praised by the critics. Ridiculous Fishing actually won iPhone Game of the Year for 2013, and is the work of both Circa and the studio Vlambia, who are perhaps best known for Nuclear Throne. So it's just a 2-person team working on it, but the game is published by Devolver Digital, who should be very, very familiar to game fans across the world, because they've worked on the Serious Sam titles, or I should say they acquired the Serious Sam titles, and then they decided they were going to give a hand to indie developers, and they've sort of become what I call an umbrella publisher. And since changing their business plan, their business model, they've been responsible for publishing titles as Dropsy, both Hotline Miami games, Broforce, and most recently of all, Enter the Gungeon, which just came out this week in fact. And we've come to the end of the road, which means we've got to fight an absolutely horrifying final boss here in Downwell. And I hope, as we get to this final boss, also you've actually got to shoot it to make it come up, hence the pause there. I didn't know you had to do that. Yeah, don't worry guys, I've played this game before, I swear. I really have, I've beaten the game. Our final boss is the Sarlacc from Star Wars. No, it isn't really, but it really does remind me of that. And this thing is absolutely crazy. And by the way, this is why you don't... Much like in The Binding of Isaac, there are certain upgrade synergies that just don't go well together. In this case, I picked up the knife and fork, which allows you to eat your enemy's dead bodies to regain health. And then I picked the upgrade that allows you to shoot your enemy's dead bodies to make them explode. Which means if you do that, you can't get them for health. This is a really, really stupid idea, and I really would not recommend doing this if you get the game yourself. And I really would recommend you get the game yourself because, as I said to Rhett on the Sourcecast and teasing for it mercilessly, it's $2, man, what are you doing? He did eventually take my advice and buy it, so I can't really mock him anymore, although I'm kind of mocking him retroactively just talking about it. The object of this final boss is to drive the monster further and further down the well, while it shoots fireballs at you and conjures up all sorts of horrible enemies for you to fight. Also, you can get upgrades as the fight progresses, which is appreciated, but isn't really going to help you. This is just... I don't want to call the boss fight crazy again, but it is really just crazy and mad, and there is so much going on the screen right now, and again, I think it's just a testament to how good this developer is, and how good this game is, that it can fit all this onto a game that's also available for iOS. The boss fight progresses through various different settings which mirror the various floors that you took, which again is a really, really nice touch. And here underwater you've got to shoot these jars to collect bubbles to make sure you don't run out of there, and oh dear, I appear to have died. So that'll do it for week 6 of Downwell. I hope I showed off just why this game is so irresistible and compelling to me. And join us next time for whatever comes next. Until then, I've been Rainiac, and bye for now.